It's train time, starting now, right after this small intro.
Sponsored by Canadian Model Railroad.ca and by donations from patrons like you. Further support provided by miniprint.ca. Make your layout come alive with the 3D creation of miniprint.ca. And now on with the show with your hosts, Peter and Joe.
Well, Peter, what time it is?
It's train time.
Season 4,
Season 4,
episode 37.
37. First episode of Season 4.
Yeah, we're starting our 4th years.
Yes.
Way to go. Last month, we show how to build a mountain.
Yes.
This month, I guess we'll show them how to paint
How
the
to
mountain.
paint it. Yes, you did a marvelous job.
And then, later on, and under the show, we'll show them how to put the trees and do what's got to be done before it's steady on the layout.
Right.
All right. Then we got photo of the month.
Photo of the month, and then view from above as usual.
Yeah. And on the second segment,
We have some more CMR.
yep,
Yeah.
we're talking about lumber.
Lumber.
Yep,
The Shin Lumber Company.
the Shin Lumber Company.
Yeah.
So, folks, let's go see how we paint that mountain.
Yeah.
Well,
Enjoy.
now we have done our mountain and we're ready to paint it. What we need is only an airbrush, and the airbrush is a very, very cheap one. You get that at Princess Auto or something like that, about $15. And definitely our paint, which is reduced like a wash. We apply it all over the place. The first color that I'm putting on is a very light gray. Now you can see the whole mountain has been painted with the first coat, which is great. The second coat that you put is black, a black wash. Now, it doesn't have to be all over the place, you know. You put it mainly where you want to create some dark shadow. So in this case, instead of going this way, I'm going that way. Because I want to get the underneath of the scene, per se. Now you can see with the black, it's start to create some shade. So we follow now with another color which is called ochre. Now ochre, you don't want to put a ton of it. You just want to do some highlight on it. So, because with the other color that will go over top of it, it will start to give some perspective to your mountain. Now it doesn't go all over the place. As you can see already the difference. So technically what you do, you spot your color. And you do them mainly on the ridges. Now, you going in an up and now we have a very good view of what happened after you put the ochre. Now, ochre is a very strong color. Some people will want to leave the mountain just the way it is right now. It's a matter of preference, a matter of choice. For us, we decide no, we want to keep on going. We got 3 more colors to put in. The next one is a light brown on a wash. You put it here and there, really someplace you want to have a little more. You know, now it starts to mix with your okra. Because you want to give some dimension to your color. Okay, the light brown has been applied. Now you can see that it's someplace it take a little bit over the ochre. It mixed. The reason why is I use a method what is called wet on wet. Now how do I mix that paint? Well, I use white, black to make your gray, and I use, for mountain, I use regular tap water with the acrylic paint. Now, I add onto it probably the value of about half an ounce of isopropyl 40, which make the drying process a little faster. Now, I have to stipulate in here that all my paint is mixed on a 1 liter at the time because of the amount of painting I have to do with mountain. So, the next color that we will be putting on is a dark brown. That's the before last paint. Now that paint is exactly the same thing. You just spot it. Some area you will need a little more. That is a matter of preference of how exactly you want your mountain to look, because depending on the size of your layout, some places the rock are not the same from one place to another, so you have to have a variation in your color according to the geography that you want to reproduce. Now you can really see the difference that it makes. This mountain per se has a lot of wood, a lot of trees. So your dark brown that you're putting in would be pretty important as far as the base before you put some grass and underneath of brushes and so on and so on. Now you go over it as much as you want to have the effect that you're looking for. Now having said that it dry real fast, it is. So our dark brown now has been applied, and the next coat that we put in, we go back to a different shade of gray to finish the mountain. Now we are to the last step, painting the mountain, and it's the last shade of gray. Now, after that is all done, it's time to start to scenic your mountain. So meaning adding on the trees, the grass, the underbush, building the scene, the trails or whatsoever. In this instance here, we got the observatory and the Chameleon Hood highway behind and so on. And then it's ready to go into the layout because this specific mountain is portable. Now, you might want to leave it the way it is. You know, that is your own choice, as I said before. Now, the gray, the last gray that you put in is a spot color. You know, it's not, you don't paint the whole thing over because you want to keep the colors that you already build up into your mountain. So the best way to do it is still at that point with your airbrush. Now the pressure that I use on the compressor is 20 pounds. You don't need more than that. There you go, your mountain now is done. Now we'll, in another video, we'll show you how we do our trees and how we plan the trees and how to make a scene with that specific mountain. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. My technique might be a little different from some others, okay? You do not have to buy yourself a high price gun to do it. Like I said, the $15 at Princess Auto does the job, and it goes from one color to another. Now, how do I clean them? Very simple. I clean them with window cleaners, with Windex. I spray the Windex, and it clean my airbrush, and I do the same thing with the jar, and it's done, ready for the next project. So, till next time, happy modeling.
Well, that turned out good.
Yep. I just hope that some of the viewer, especially the beginners, learn something out of it.
Yes.
If you use a paintbrush to do it, then you got more and more difficulty to control how the paint will apply.
Yes. Yes.
And on a wet to wet with a paintbrush, it's kind of a little difficult in some ways.
Yeah.
Unless you really have some experience with it.
If you're really good at dry brushing, you could probably do it with a brush.
Well, on the final, if you want to put some highlight at the final, you can use dry brushing, usually with some sort of white or off-white or something like that.
Yeah.
But what I find out with the airbrush is you can go one coat after another. The video is only 17 minutes, but to paint that mountain, it took 50 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the whole thing was done.
Yeah. Because you can do wet on wet.
Wet on wet, the I think the quality of wet on wet when you use the airbrush is your colors are blending, and they are blending properly.
Yep.
You know, now you don't paint the whole thing on the whole thing. No, is the first one you paint as much as you can. You want to take out all the white out of there and so on. After that, after you did your shadow, which you go from the bottom up,
Yep.
right? Because it's the underneath of the rocks that you want to have some shadow on. The other one are all spot colors.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you do the ridge with the ochre, and then you spot the light brown, and you spot the dark brown, and you finish it with a spot with a different shade of gray.
Yeah.
So then your mountain is done. You just have to do sceneries.
And it's like we've said with a lot of scenery, you have to kind of let it talk to you too, and tell you where it needs stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I like to turn off my hearing aids, you know, because they're talking too much, you know. But I find out with the techniques we use for the mountain, and then the techniques you use to paint them,
Yeah.
especially when you got a huge amount of mountain to do.
And that's the same technique you used on all of the Rockies that are up on CMR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only difference is from one area to another, the shade kind of change, because the mountain are not the same all around.
Right.
Right? So you start to change a little bit the shades, or you add on a different color on it depending of what is on the area. A good example of that, you look at what is there right now around Steel Rivers. The color of that mountain in there is totally different from the Rockies.
Oh yeah, and you know, talking about Steel River, that and Cassette Gorge, we used a different technique altogether doing those mountains. We did the rock molds, we did
Yep.
sculpting, and then we got into, with so many of the Rockies to do, we got into the cardboard framework and the
the
tin
aluminum,
foil and so
It does make a difference, and it creates a lot of shapes and so on all over the place, because that medium is easy to work with.
Yep. Yep.
You know, if you use sculpt a mold over top of the mountain, that type of thing, like they show in many different videos, which is technically a 1950 method, and even before that. Nowadays, you don't really want to have something that's overly heavy. If you were making a module to go to a show and something like that, and you use the cardboard webbing and the aluminum paper and or cast plaster that we use, your module would be very light. But if you start to add on the sculpt mold and all that, then it's heavier and heavier and heavier.
yeah.
Though, we got to clarify in here that using that methods, especially when you go to show with module and that type of thing, these modules are a whole lot more fragile.
Yes,
than
I
the
was just
older
going to say that if you are, you know, say in a modular club or something, like we have, say, Wind Tracks here,
one. Yeah,
and they're going to a lot of shows, you're assembling and deassembling modules all the time and transporting them. You may want to go to a more heavy casting rather than the plaster cloth that we use.
well, I probably multi-layer the plaster cloth
Yeah, that's
and probably double layer the aluminum foil,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it did the trick.
Yeah.
So that you don't have the weight.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's something, if you're going to shows, you would have to kind of play around with and see what's going to be more durable.
And then the modules got to talk to you again.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Now, folks, is the photo of the month. All the photo of the month are taken from photo that come into or Facebook group page. You know, if you look at Canadian Model Railroad, you post there, and then at that point, more than likely they will end up in the show. And then we got the view from above.
View from above. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So enjoy, guys.
Enjoy.
Ever wanted to take a nostalgic trip back to the steam era, Through the Window of a Train is the book for you. Or go back into history with The Memory of the Moonlight Specials. Through the Window of a Train for $19.95, or Memory of the Moonlight Specials for $21.95, or for limited time offers, you can get both books signed for only $39.95 plus shipping. Order now.
Well, very nice.
Yep. And as usual, we had or two little commercial, one about the Barbara Lang
Yes,
book,
the 2 books.
and the other one about the Transcona Museum.
Yes.
We'll more than likely bring an update on the Transcona pretty soon. We'll talk
Yeah.
with them and find out where they're at, but that's just the way
Especially when we get closer to spring, because I'm sure they're, from the sounds of it, they want to get started on the actual structure. So.
Yeah. They are still raising money.
Oh yeah.
And they got to raise quite a bit, matter of fact.
Yeah.
But that would be an interesting to see.
Yes.
You know. Now, having said all that, on the CMR, we starting to really figure some scene.
Yes.
One of them is
the logging.
the Burton Falls.
Burton Falls. Yeah.
Yeah, the mountain, the Rocky Mountains had been made around there. They're not painted, but we are in a position now that we can really assess the logging camps.
The space we have.
Yeah, and also the sawmill,
Yes.
which originally was not on the plan.
No, that was kind of an afterthought.
Yeah, and we had to kind of reconfigure where the fall will be because the original idea didn't quite work, you know. So that even there is a little bit of modifications to be done, you know, and behind the bridge there, so the trestle bridge. But the sawmill by itself is named after a very good friend of ours,
Yes.
Chris Shin. Chris has always loved to model lumber.
He's
forestry.
yeah, he was our Shea locomotive guy
At the club,
yeah.
And Christian and the CMR Layout is all the forestry is the Christian Lumber Company. As much as the Lumberjack camp and so on, that is with the company store, you know. And a little bit lower on the other levels, that's the Christian Lumber Sawmill that is there.
Yeah.
And that sawmill is
And you're
scratch
working.
built.
Yes, completely.
Yes, is.
And you're working on the office for it.
Yeah, I'm doing the office right now, and I got to do the table at the end of the sawmill, so where all the freshly cut wood come out,
comes
you know,
out,
and
yes.
pile up to be sent out.
Yep.
And what would be added in there, which was not in the plan originally, is a bridge
Yes.
that go from that level to the aisle.
Yes.
And that bridge is only for the truck coming in with logs or
Logging trucks. Yeah.
or the one going out with some planks, and some of the planks will be loaded on cars and so on. So it is quite a few variation. It's not a huge sawmill.
Nope.
It's a small sawmill, you know, for a small company and that type of thing. So we can bear in mind that is some of the wood that being cut will not necessarily be processed there, will be processed somewhere else.
Yes.
You know.
And it is the way you've done it. It's a pretty old mill.
It is an old mill, but instead of being powered with steam like it was when originally built, they changed that where they got the diesel engine, you know, and which gives some electric powers to do all the
motors.
belt and so on, you know, or what gives the saw to work. It's all from that, and definitely some hydraulics that been put in there from that motor, so that all the clamps to bring the trees and so on to the saw and whatnot.
Conveyors and
So that's well represented in there.
yes. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you can see the people inside of the mill.
Very well detailed inside.
Yeah. And the sawdust. Matter of fact, we're talking about it and you're seeing some pictures of it. Now, that here is all built with the wood we got from Alberta.
That's right. Yes.
And thanks a lot, Ivan, to have sent that wood.
Yes.
And it's piece by piece by piece. It doesn't matter if it's a half an inch piece to a 2-inch piece. It's all the framing was stick by stick, and then after that plank. And the planks are made that they are not one butt to the others.
Right.
You got space in between.
Gaps, yeah.
The roof, you can see some space in the roof.
Yep.
You know, so meaning during the winter, they just start the roof.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and one side is open so you can see the inside of the mill. But it was a debate in regards of the roof.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
yeah, shall we at that point tar the roof or put some corrugated metals on it and so on, or leave it wood? Personally, I feel it looked good just the way it is.
Oh yeah, it's the way you've weathered it with the stain and the way the gaps are in the wood. It looks old.
Yeah, and that's really what we want to happen in there. And on the layout, it's not place straight, is an angle to it, you know, because if you look at buildings on a layout and you start to give them a little bit of
An angle.
It add on to the vision of that scene.
Same concept to when you're laying track.
Yes.
Don't have it perfectly straight all the way. Have some little variations, whether it's just slight S-curves or
Yep.
it makes a difference when you're doing scenery and
Matter of fact, in the yards, no matter how straight we wanted the track, you got some of those little variation on that, which is totally natural.
Yep.
You know, because I don't think you got one yard that is totally straight.
No. I mean, main lines tend to be because high volume, but you got off onto short lines and sidings and stuff. You've got a lot more wave in some of the stuff. So.
And you know, this month we received from Bernard at miniprint.com. We receive a Zamboni, we receive toboggans, we receive a skidoo, but we also receive 2 Saint Bernard dogs and 2 Clydesdale. Well, matter of fact, these 2 Clydesdale, when they're painted, we'll use them upstairs on the forestry.
Oh yeah,
Pulling some logs.
Pulling logs, yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Which will bring the mechanical side and the old-fashioned side.
Old-fashioned together,
the two of them. I think that's the best place to put those 2 horses, you know? Because we're not making a Budweiser wagon. So in the next show, we'll show you some of those figures being painted. And also, he came in with another team lately. Is called At the Edge. At the edge, he's got people that are right at the edge of layouts, you know, because we know the earth is round, but layouts are flat.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's very easy for one of our little men to fall off, you know, on the aisle. And that's the idea. But some of those people would be excellent at that point for the viewpoint we want to put on the mountain.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So they would be right on the edge.
We want to do some mountain climbers. And,
yes.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, a camping place, which is camp number 1 or whatever it is.
Yep.
It's not the Everest, but anyway, it's still the Rockies.
It's the Rockies, yeah.
And we also have some new stuff happening in the Quebec and Sudbury area.
Yes, and we have a bit of a deadline on that one.
Well, yeah, to a certain point.
We're working on, you just did a bunch of tunnel portals for the Sudbury part.
Yes, I got to figure out now the lights.
Yep.
I think I will need two standard with signal, the red and the green on it. One to put on the short line, the other one on the main line, because it's one switch was inside of the mountain.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
we don't want to have no collision happen.
Right.
So that's I got to figure out.
And the Quebec section, which is also on the short line, you've got relatives we mentioned before are coming this summer.
Yep.
So we have to have the old Quebec homestead done.
Well, the homestead in Quebec, the most important thing for that one is now that I got only one uncle left.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who did some work on that farm.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw it, he saw the building, but he didn't see the farm all assembled because it's not assembled yet. But that specific homestead in there is very important for that reason, so that you can see some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, yes, it's some relative coming in the summer, and we want to have as much done on the layout as we can.
Yep.
Though that it's never finished anyway, so. But we did the portal in there. Now is to do the Sudbury mountain there,
Yep.
where is the nickel mines.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that we come in with the quarries, and we come in with the village and the farm and so on, and then we can fascia that part, and that would be done.
Yep.
You know, so the fascia on the other side of that aisles is, well, we got 9.5 inch left to do on it.
Yeah.
So that's not a big deal.
It's almost done.
Almost done.
Yeah.
You know, but pretty soon the track crew will have to cut off that fascia so that it fit exactly the way it should be.
Yep.
And then, well, again, we'll be painting some mountain.
Yes.
So it's progressing.
Yep.
And
And it's good that we're able to bring our audience some pieces of CMR.
yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
Well, I want to do a video about scratch building.
Mm-hmm.
I think I will do that with the store for the lumber company, and also with the cabin for the camp,
Yep.
right? I think it would be time to make a video on how these buildings are built and so on, and the little trick you use, because we got a lot of electricity involved. Is also we need a generator station upstairs there at the lumber camp, because you don't have electricity coming in from BC Hydro.
No.
So anyway, that's about it for the show this month.
Yes.
Hoping you enjoy it. We thank you for any comments that you make.
Yep. Please send them in.
Yes, we had some pretty nice comments in regards of the building of the mountain, and we thank all the viewers to take the time to see our video. Season 4 is full of surprise coming in,
Yes.
so remember to subscribe, remember to click the bell to be notified that there's a video coming in.
And enjoy.
Absolutely.
Have fun modeling.
So till next time,
Take care.
episode 38, we'll see you then.
Take care.